Coming up on today's episode of the No Ceilings NBA Draft Show. We're tired of talking about the little guys. It's time to talk about the bigs. The guard episode was a hit. Now let's talk about the big boys in the middle. Let's party. Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host today, Tyler Rucker, joined by the legendary Mr. Tyler Metcalf, and welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings NBA Draft Show. Metcalf, how are we doing?
Hanging in there, day by day, one at a time. It's just every day is an adventure, and but excited to talk some hoops. And I cannot wait to see where this one goes because obviously this isn't part of the recording, but just some pre-production user errors I think are clearly representative of the state of mind we're in. So is this going to be a good? I hope so. Should at least be somewhat interesting.
I think it's hey, it was me, so I just to make fun of myself on the line. But whenever we're having a week, me and you both, we can feel it. So I feel like we have to change it up and have a little. These episodes are usually off the rails, which sometimes makes some of our funniest conversations and some of our best pods. So it's going to be a fun one. But I know you're having a week with life. I'm having a week with life and lack of sleep. And that's why we end it with some basketball talk, Metcalf. So this one's going to be fun. So let's do some housekeeping in Metcalf's tradition because, we got to do this first. We did an episode on the guards. We had a blast. We were like, hey, people liked it. We should do another one. And we were like, let's talk about the bigs because it's a very intriguing dilemma moving forward. I think there's going to be some fun topics that we talk about, some fun, philosophy. A lot of great stuff going up at NoCeilingsNBA.com. Jam has had some scouting notes from seeing Stanford, Virginia. He's got some fun stuff. Onibuko Corey, who obviously is the talk of the town after his performance last night against North Carolina, but I think Jam saw the opposite side of Ibuka, which is really important to read about. So go check that one out. Stephen Gillespie had an awesome piece up today. It was today. Sorry, Stephen, I'm blanking all over the place. Just kind of some updated thoughts about the draft class. We had a mock draft this week. It was legendary. It was fantastic. Took up the whole day as tradition. What else did I miss? Paige had an awesome piece about seeing Michigan, Wisconsin in person, and the Wolverines getting upset. I need her to keep her Michigan State vibes away from my Wolverines because she, first game of the year she goes to, they lose. So thanks, Paige, but you're good. You're good for the year. Nathan Grubel recently also had a piece on Keontae George. So everyone's kicking some butt. Nick Agar-Johnson. I'm just going down the list. Ignacio had a great piece about all the leagues in the world. We've been cooking at No Ceilings. If you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, we've got rookie highlights of the NBA guys this year. Those are very lengthy and very fun. Still got a lot of prospects up there, a lot of video breakdowns, a lot of fun stuff. Metcalf, did I miss anything?
Just where everyone can find all this, and that's over at NoCeilingsNBA.com.
There we go. That's why they pay him the big bucks, folks. Okay, are you ready to get after it?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's just start big picture here, and then we can kind of break down specific players. So what are you...
Big picture. I see what you did there.
No pun intended. I accept tips. The bigs, I think coming into the year, I was a little like, could the big class be underwhelming? And then now I'm like, is there more depth than I thought, but maybe just not as much star power? Because I thought the big class was going to really come down to a couple players like really finding their groove. A couple of those guys haven't yet. It's still early. And full disclaimer, like we're probably going to mention Cam Boozer to start, but me and you are kind of in agreement. He's more of like a tweener. We're trying to focus this episode of like man in the middle, rim protector, your classic center.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, you know it when you see it. Like if you look at Cam Boozer and you're like, that's an NBA center, I'm going to disagree with you because I
Right.
don't see that in his game. But when you look at a guy like Jayden Quaintance, it's like there's a clear difference here in how these guys move, how they operate, the areas of the floor that they thrive in, that they find success in, and that kind of stuff. So even though some of these guys will probably be measurables a little similar to some others that we don't talk about, you know, take it with a grain of salt. There are a couple guys that will probably be a little bit more controversial, if you want to even go that far, in classification of position. But like Cam Boozer's incredible. He's a big in college. He was a big in high school. He's not a big in the NBA, and that's more what we're focusing on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said it perfectly. You watch Boozer and it's like, well, this is going to be a perimeter focused player at the next level. You're going to want to play to his strengths and have him space the floor from time to time. You're not going to just be like, hey, you're in the paint and cleaning up nonstop, and that's all you do. So a lot of these guys have a lot of skills, but we're trying to talk about the guys that are, the anchor in the middle of the paint, and your rim protectors, your guys that are feasting on the boards, your classic centers, like not so much the tweeners, maybe, if you want to put it that way. Well, let's start us off. Okay, so we'll start with Jayden Quaintance. You brought up the man.
Well, just real quick before we dive into an individual player, sorry to cut you off, but like,
no, this is what you do.
So I'm just like, has your overall viewpoint of this big class shifted a lot from like day one of the season to now, mid-January?
A little, but it's been the shift, and it's funny because I was going to ask you, but I'm just so rusty with hosting. So thank you for reading my mind. But it has, in a weird way, where I think the ceiling isn't as high, but like I'm more like, oh, maybe the floor is a little bit higher than I was expecting. Does that make sense to you? Like, and that's where I'm talking about depth. Is I thought if a couple things went right in the beginning of the year, I was like, this center class could get really fun with like the firepower or the big time, like, hey, this is a franchise altering center talent that might have things need to go right, but he has that upside. Now I'm like, okay, maybe there's not that at the top, but maybe there's more intriguing value lower than I thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where it's like, if you're patient or you have a bunch of these guys in a similar tier and you really need a big and you're in the late teens, early 20s, I think you could really walk away with a pretty talented player. Whereas most years, I don't think that would be the case, because I think just the value of the position and the rarity of these archetypes tends to push them up a little higher. And every single year, it's like we enter the year of like, oh man, this year's big class sucks. Like there's just nobody that I'm excited about. And then like 7 of them go in the top 20. And it's every single year. And just going back to 2020, 2020, 7 bigs went in the first, 21, 6, 22, 5, 23, 4, but 3, that was Wemby's draft, and 3 of them were in the lottery in a pretty guard wing heavy draft. 2024, 6 of them in the first round. Last year, 9 of them in the first round. So it's like, no matter what you kind of think of the class at large, the NBA constantly tells us that it's like, even if it's a quote unquote bad big class, there are going to be a handful of them going, and they're probably going to go earlier. And if there's a scarcity of talent at that position, they're going to go really early, like we saw in 2023. If there's more of them, they might fall a couple spots, but not that far.
I'm not speaking for, every team in the league, but I think there's kind of a growing narrative too. It's like, okay, well, if we're going to draft a big, you've got to really believe that he can bring something that you can't find just in free agency with serviceable bigs. Like, because it's like, okay, well, if you're just drafting one to draft one, why can't you just draft another one the following year? Why can't you go get a veteran free agent, probably on a friendlier contract?
Find a UDFA guy or late second round flyer type guy. Yeah.
Looking overseas, get creative. So it's just, you've got to be able to bring something specific to the table to get that type of, investment in a first rounder. And I do think there's some bigs in this class that might not be going lottery, but I'm like, they got something in their disposal that could really intrigue and warrant a first round pick, or even like I like some of the second round bigs a lot that we'll probably hit on today. But has yours changed?
Yeah,
me and you were scared to start the year.
Yeah,
we were a little scared. Like, This could be a bad class for centers.
Yeah, and I think I'm now at the point where it's like I think it's like the strength of the depth of this class. Like I think the massive amount of talent, like the outlier position group, I think is the guards, like we talked about in that last episode. But I think once you get outside of those top 3 guys, top 3 or 4 guys, then I think the wing position is really looking like the weakness here. And we could see a couple of those guys maybe go a little earlier just because, again, positional value. Where a guy like Nate Ament on my personal board is a lot lower. But once you get outside of the 9th pick or something and you're kind of looking around, it's like, all right, well, how many 6'10" dynamic shooters, theoretically, are there? And if you're going to take a swing, if you're in the camp of, hey, let's just take the biggest swing possible, then I think we could see a couple wings get quote unquote overdrafted. But I think there's going to be a lot of value with some of these bigs if they decide to stay, because some of them are still have a couple years of eligibility. But I think if a couple of these guys stay in this draft, I think you could find some really, really good talent just outside the lottery if you're patient.
You bring up a good point there, and I guess this is the last thing, and then we can start getting after it. But you bring up a good point there of like, hey, okay, if every draft it seems like we evaluate, there's one position that's like the elephant in the room where it's like you get thinned quick.
Yeah.
And as draft fans out there, and it's always the best, in any sport, everyone's like, oh, just take the best player available, take the best player available. Well, there's always teams that don't necessarily agree with that, or there's teams that are like, look, we need a wing, we need this position. So there might be a little bit of a time where you're like, okay, at some point we might have to draft for need a little bit. But I think the smart teams look at that, they evaluate, they scout, they look like, hey, after this wing, there's a big drop off. And that's why with some teams are like, hey, we're stacked at this position, but the best guy on our board clearly is, a center. Yes, we have 2 good ones, but like that's the best player on our board by far. So I think the smart team just be like, we're taking the value, we're taking the best prospect. We're not going to overdraft, like you said.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. At first, I wanted to like dip into Boozer, but I think we just move on. We've said enough. Look, guys, if you need us to talk about Cam Boozer, we've done 97 episodes on him. We're going to do 155 more. So like Boozer rocks. He's been great, but like give us a couple more weeks and I feel like we'll get to the sicko stuff with Cam. Also, there's like 900 videos on our YouTube channel. Just go check it out. And our articles will have some stuff too. Let's start with Quaintance. So let's be positive to start out the gate, Metcalf, with all these guys.
I promise I will try.
Yeah, well, because we always try to do these as like a little bit of a preview or a primer for some of these folks that are starting to get really serious about the draft catch up. So Jayden Quaintance, sophomore, 18 years old. He's going to be 18 when he's drafted. Birthday's in July. Kentucky has him listed at 6'10 and a half, 255 pounds. Take that with a grain of salt. The height, not the weight. Kind of a 4. He was coming into the year kind of a 4 that played like a center and then put on the reported weight gain and height gain. And now it's like, okay, maybe he's all in on being a center. Recovering from an ACL injury. Everyone should know the story. Then he comes back. He looks unbelievable in his first game against St. John's. And since then, we've had a lot of quiet stinkers and LSU. And then he had some knee soreness. Mm-hmm. Sat out the recent LSU game. What are you thinking?
Thank God he had that St. John's game.
Yes.
Because it's been bad. And big old caveat. Returning from injury to a bad team, and he's played 4 games. So take it all with a grain of salt, but can only talk about what I've seen in those 4 games for this year. Obviously, we have the ASU stuff from last year. That was a lot of fun. But he's been flat out bad. That St. John's game, he looked incredible. It's like, oh, cool. There's pick number 5. Or someone who can legitimately challenge for it, depending on how the lottery plays out. But I don't know what he's bringing to the table right now because, again, outside of that St. John's game, I think his defense has been really disappointing. He looks like a guy who's not in shape. a lot of his closeouts are reckless, and the defensive fundamentals that we saw in the St. John's game and a lot last year at ASU are just gone. Where like it kind of looks like he's sitting down in a stance, but it's that fake thing that big guys do where they bend over at the hips and not the knees, and then they're actually upright and they can't move their feet at all. They're a step or two behind in terms of reaction, but his ability to recover and his explosiveness is so great that he's able to eat up that space and has a wider margin for error with those situations than most guys. Cool. That can keep you afloat for a while. It's going to get exposed really quickly though. So again, 4 games. I'm hoping that all of that stuff is just conditioning stuff, shaking the rust off, still feeling some soreness in the knee, and not who he is, because that wasn't the type of defender that we saw last year. It wasn't the type of defense he played against St. John's. But for it to immediately pop back up and be like, oh, yikes, that's rough. Like your number one thing with the bullet on the scouting report is this? Like, really? It's just, it's been disappointing, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, hey, St. John's, he plays first game of the year returning. It was kind of just like announced that he was coming back. Like I feel like on a Thursday or a Friday.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my gosh, here we go. And then like he comes back, he plays 17 minutes. He had 10, 8, and 2 blocks and 5 of 7 from the field. He was awesome. He was just like offensive rebounds, like hustle plays, emphatic rejections. You were like, you literally watched it, and as you said, you were like, this is how you challenge for the 5th pick. Like this is the number one pure center prospect with the measurements, with the defense. Like this is gonna possibly happen. Since then, he's had 4 points and 2 rebounds in the following game. He against Bama had 5 and 6 when they just got curb stomped by Bama. And then Missouri, he had 1 and 4 with a block in 18 minutes. Look, St. John's, I get. He's probably adrenaline's just cooking, pumped out of his mind to be back on the court. You saw how good he was moving, because I remember doing that. We did a pod for Locked On, and we were talking about it, and I was like, I'm shocked at how effortless he was moving around at that reported weight gain. He just looks so quick still. And then you watch the Bama game, and you're like, he looks like he's got, cement feet. Like, what's going on here? He had a couple of nice plays, but you're like, fundamentals are just gone. Like, it made sense that since then, like the report about his knees come out, because you're like, okay, well, he didn't look healthy.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit more concerned. I'm a little worried that this one could get uglier than better.
So
am I overreacting?
Are you concerned for like the rest of this year, or concerned like for what his actual NBA career could look like?
I'm concerned that we were all drinking the Kool-Aid of the idea. Are we chasing the idea of wanting him to be a nasty defensive 5? And it's just that's just not it. Now I am overreacting because it's 4 games, but it's a thought that's creeping in my head right now where it's like, maybe you planted the seed because you're an evil mastermind, but when you on the recent, we were talking about the big board episode, you're like, what's the big difference between Morez and JQ?
Yeah.
And the problem is I'm doing that with a lot of bigs with JQ right now. I'm like, well, why is there so much of a gap?
Right.
And people will be like, well, he had this historic defensive year at ASU. And I'm like, okay, but like, it's probably easier to do when everyone in the world's driving the lane and you get to just block shots freely, because I don't know. I'm more saying, like, is this really going to be a top 7 pick, or is this still maybe going to look more like a late lottery pick that you're hoping you find gold on? Maybe that's a hot take.
No, I don't think that would be shocking though, because if he struggles, if he's off and on in terms of involvement all year, and he's having to kind of keep going in and out with a knee soreness or knee injury, and before people before Kansas fans freak out about. It's like, well, that's what Darren was doing, and you guys said don't worry about it. Very different. A hamstring injury compared to a torn ACL and knee surgery, two very different situations.
Yes.
So if he kind of keeps struggling to find a consistent footing, shake the rust off, get consistent minutes throughout this year, it wouldn't shock me if he falls a little bit in the lottery, because it's probably going to scare a lot of NBA teams of like, oh, did he rush it back? Is he just not 100% yet? Or is there more long lasting damage that is affecting? And I'm pure speculation here, so please don't
Yeah. Right.
take this too seriously. But it's like, is there a bigger issue here? So I think the medicals with him will be fascinating. Obviously, we hope he's healthy, for God's sake. But my bigger concern is if, like, with this big weight gain, that's really tough to put on a surgically repaired knee, and it's really tough to carry that over into a play style that is so reliant on quick twitch, explosive movements in short areas, second jump type stuff. And when you add 25 pounds onto that, it makes all of that so much harder. And when that was his superpower, it's like you just diluted it. And for what? And I'm not sure that that was really necessary, because it's like he's still so young. Like, why rush that weight gain, dilute his superpower when he hasn't developed anything else in his game to go to? Where, and like, you look on the offensive end, and there's nothing. Like, what does he give you on offense
Well, that's where I'm at.
besides rebounding?
That's where I'm at right now. Is okay. So what is the offense? And it's a tough slope, because we always say with a lot of young prospects, like, hey, but get them in the weight room, get them in the weight room. But it's like, okay, well, there's a difference between good weight and putting on a lot of weight. A lot of weight at once is usually pretty, like, hey, you're walking on a lake with not thick ice, and you better be careful each step you take, because then all of a sudden something like this happens, and it's like, well, now you're not only trying to get healthy, you're trying to get healthy with added weight behind it. On your body's still adjusting to playing with that weight. So it's just kind of, hey, we're not speculating anything, but now I think Kentucky's probably being like, okay, we're playing safe because you got soreness in the knee. We're not going to mess around with it. Let's make sure we take care of this. My hope is that he gets healthy, comes back, and has a really nice stretch. And, maybe we get a 5-game stretch that's great. And then all of a sudden has some flashes in conference tournament. I don't know, but it's also just tough. The timing
is for sure. It's also really worrying that he came back in the midst of a really tumultuous time period for that team, where it's like, did he get to like 85% and all of a sudden they're like, you're good?
Yeah.
That concerns me. Again, pure speculation, hypothetical thinking. And again, 4 games, but all of the numbers are worse than they were last year. Again, 4 games, but the team impact, the offensive rating, the scoring efficiency, like the defensive playmaking numbers, it's a 24.4 turnover rate. Again, 4 games. I know, folks. I know.
It's so tough because look, we're trying to talk to everybody right now. We're trying to educate the fans, but it's also like, we've got nothing. We got 1 game. We've got 1 game, and
we have 1 good game
and
and 3 that look really bad.
And so we're going off right now of like, okay, are you attaching yourself to, like, great lesson in scouting I got from a scout and this year, and I was like kind of talking to him about like, hey, some guys like to watch highlights, and I was like, I like to watch the highs first. And he cut me off and he says, I think that's always the best idea, because if you can't fall in love with the player on the highs, you're not going to like them at all. I was like, it's pretty true. So please, for the highlight watchers out there, you did not get ammo. Actually watch film. But
keyword in that sentence was watch the highs first.
Watch the highs and then and then nitpick. So it does not mean highlights, just watch the highs. So like the highs with the St. John game, I think we're all just still like, yeah, but and then I'm like, but there's a lot of lows. So I'm hoping
and the lows,
the injury has something to warrant it, because he didn't look healthy.
No.
The Bama game, I was like, what's up, big guy?
Which is super concerning, given they run a very NBA style offense of high pace, spread the floor, get up threes, shots at the rim, and make it work. And he was dogging it. I think that was his second game back. So again, I get it. I get it. I hate it. I moved him up to 4 or 5 after that St. John's game because it's like, oh, everything I wanted to see. He just bullied Zuby Ejiofor off the court in this after coming back from a knee surgery. Oh my goodness, sign me all the way up. And it's been the exact opposite since then. So it's super frustrating. I hope he gets healthy at this rate.
Yeah, hey, we're rooting for him. That's all that matters is to get healthy. Okay, we did way too much time on JQ. Probably not enough time, but we can save that. I'm hoping he gets healthy. I hope we get a good slate of performances, and then we'll be like, okay, everybody calm down. So next up, we're gonna go talk about an international big that's playing stateside. Hannes Steinbach. I believe I said it right. Shout out to the Germans out there. Germany, we love you. I believe I said it. I tried to focus and really prep to get the pronunciation right. Hannes Steinbach, freshman. I guess this is a 4'5" tweener, so I might have lied in the intro, but
I think
he's 6. He's listed at 6'11". Look, his weight. I think Washington's website doesn't even have it, which is always really convenient.
I don't think they even have his height.
Maybe they might not. Anyways, I've seen him like 6'11", 220. He's bigger than 220.
Yeah.
But 20-year-old freshman, a lot of people really like him. He's putting up some good numbers for a big man. Right now, in 14 games, he's at 17.9 points, 11.2 rebounds, 1.7 assists, just under a block a game, 1.0 steals, 1.9 turnovers, which you love to see. Shooting splits of 56, 30, 77. So Metcalf, like, the 3-point percentage, he doesn't take a lot of them. He's got a solid looking shot from out there. He just seems like a big that just kind of punches the clock, puts his hard hat on, and goes to work every day and doesn't complain and just solid. But my question to you is, like, where are you at with Hannes? And what do you need to see to even like buy in a little bit more? Is there anything you're concerned about? Is this potentially going to be one of the top bigs off the board?
He could be.
This is not we're not just downing on JQ this whole episode, folks. I'm just saying we're getting a little bit more like, okay, well, if this is what you do middle of the year, like, well, if Quaintance doesn't turn it around, what's the conversation? So what do you think?
I'll start positive. He's like, his rebounding is legitimately insane. It was like that last year. It was like that in FIBA. He's an offensive rebounding rate of 14.8, a defensive rebounding rate of 24.1. Those are insane figures, and a big reason why his effective field goal rate is at 58.2. Like, he gobbles up everything in the paint. He has such good instincts, really good hands, and goes back up with it really quickly. 83rd percentile in offensive rebounding putbacks. It's stuff you love to see. It's easy buckets. It's generating extra offense, and it's a huge weapon that we're seeing teams like Houston absolutely thrive in, where they may not be super prolific from outside, but if you have a guy on the interior who can rebound like that and generate extra possessions like that, it can really reshape your offense.
He's, you first watch him and I think you get a little bit like, okay, he's just going to be this guy that's like an effective rebounder. And then you kind of get a couple possessions with him like running the break, and you're like, my goodness, look at him run. Like, he just runs like a deer in transition. He's got some good athleticism. He's like a sneaky kind of sneak up on you, can poster you at times where you're like, I didn't know you had that. But obviously it's like, hey, well, he's full speed and the juggernaut's coming at you. So I feel like each time I'm like watching his tape, I find another thing that I'm like, okay, I like it a little bit more, but I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to get to a point where I'm hitting a wall of
yeah.
And I'm going to make fun of myself. I also wonder if I don't properly appreciate elite rebounders. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Like, value that enough when it comes to like a big board, or like what would a team be thinking? I wonder if a team looks at an elite rebounder and is just like, oh man, that's such a a desired skill for us. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and I think it is. A lot of the scouts I've talked to, it's always rebounding translates, whether you're going from JV to varsity or varsity to college or college to the pros, like rebounding always tends to translate. So at a minimum, you know that you're going to get an awesome rebounder on both ends of the floor with him. And I like a lot of that footwork stuff that he showcased getting downhill in the open court. Really fun short roll stuff where he settles in and then uses that to generate a drive, and he'll hit a guy with a Euro step or a spin move every now and then. You said you were worried about hitting that wall. I think I face planted into it.
Okay, well, let's talk. This is when I get to
'Cause
host and have fun. So, is it the defense?
a lot of it's the defense.
Okay, well, let's go both sides of the fence here.
Yeah.
Because people think we're always too positive, and me and you have had a day. So
I love
I'm
how we
not.
started this episode being like, I really like how this big class is shaping up. And
No, but you know what? We never do this of just being like really blunt. And I think people sometimes are like, hey, it's annoying, but it's also a compliment. The one thing the comment I get all the time every year is like, hey, you guys do great work. You're way too positive. And I'm like, well, everyone needs to focus on the positive.
everybody love everybody.
Everybody love everybody at ELE, but also like, why would we spend all of our time being negative? And like, your team is going to draft one of these guys. Don't you want to know, like, hey, this is the highs. This is what you could get invested in, instead of just being like, this guy's no good because of this. But it's not saying that we don't do that with scouting. So like, more scouting. Where's your concerns? Won't be too negative. What's your concern areas?
What side of the ball?
Let's start offense.
Okay.
I'll see if I agree with you.
I wish that the passing was a lot better.
I thought it was gonna be a little bit better.
There are flashes of like one a game or two a game where he makes a really nice read and a really nice touch pass out of the short roller, post up to beat the double, or finds the cutter or top of the key kind of stuff. But a lot of the time when you actually watch the passes, he sees the pass, but the accuracy on it isn't where it needs to be, where it's off to the guy's side or it's at his feet or he has to jump and really extend to grab it. It's almost never actually in the shooting pocket when he does make those reads. And I just wish that he was a little more consistent with making those reads. It felt like a really similar thing with Germany and FIBA over the summer too, where once or twice a game he would make this gorgeous skip out of the short roll, but a guy would have to reach for it. It would be a little off center and not exactly where it needs to be. And I think that's the most realistic part of his game that can really take a jump in the short term here and really elevate his overall offensive game. Because like I love the rim pressure stuff. I love the offensive rebounding, but there's got to be something else. I think the shot will be fine long term. He's super erratic with his misses right now, but he's taken a handful a game, 30%. It's not there yet. I think it'll get there, but I think him really exploring and unlocking the passing rates and the passing accuracy specifically will help unlock and make him such a much more versatile offensive player.
You know, it's not when I said to start off, it's not me being like, oh, he's not a good passer. I think there's really good vision stuff where you're like, that's a really nice read for a big. It's just I don't get it frequent enough. Now, I mean, like, look, he started out the year, a couple of games, he had like 6 assists, 4 assists. Then it's, it gets fizzled down quick where it's like he had a 4-game stretch where he had 3 total assists. But then the USC game is like, I'm watching him just all over the place. And I was like, man, he's just beast. He had the 24 and 16 with 3 assists in that game. He went 2 for 3 from deep. He was 8 for 10 from the free throw line. You just like, okay, I get it. So I'm with you. I feel like the passing, and maybe it was like, I was just dreaming more of like, hey, Hans might come up and put double digits with 5 assists and like go top 6 or just mess around.
I think he has that potential. Like if we're grading out his passing right now, like the actual skill right now, I'd probably give it like a C. But potential, if he maxes that skill out, I think he has A upside, where I think that could be a real legitimate, not quite Şengün, not Jokic, not Sabonis levels, but 70% of that. I think that's pretty realistic if he really puts in the work and focuses on it, which I'm not totally confident he has, given that what we're seeing right now looks exactly what it looked like over the summer.
But where would you take that?
That's where I struggle.
That's where I struggle, because I'd love to get him at 15.
I still like Hannes a lot. I don't like him top 10 at all.
No.
I can't get there.
I'd be ecstatic to get it at
if we're talking late teens, early 20s, now we can talk.
He won't last till 20.
But I don't think I'd reach on him at this point based on what he's shown, because he's an elite rebounder on both ends of the floor. What else is he giving you consistently? What can you rely on him to give you every single night?
Boards.
Yeah, aside from that.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, look, if I could be like, hey, I'm getting an elite rebounder, and potentially, early on in his career, I'm getting 12 and 10. I think he gives that pretty easily. I would take that. Gosh, in this class though, the problem is like you have to count for the depth of the class, which is like, hey, you could go back and look at some previous drafts and be like, why did that guy not go? Or why did that guy go so early? Why did that guy go so late? And you're like, well, you could look at the rest of the names, like take in the big picture, not just like the top 10. And you're like, why did he go ninth? It's like, we'll take in everybody else. So I don't know. He's one that I'm a puzzle with, and it's not in a bad way. It's in a, can I break through that wall to find another level of like, I'm in,
Yeah, because like that's where I'm at. And I'm not out on Hannes. I think he's a really good player. I love rebounding. So part of this is me hedging against my own personal biases of like, don't overrate this guy's elite skill. But maybe I should. Maybe I should lean into it. And I'm still trying to figure that out. But it's also me trying to figure out what is that secondary skill. For me, I think it's the passing. It's like, now, all right, what's the feasibility in that actually becoming not necessarily an elite skill, but a plus skill, something that he can hang his hat on, something that can really reshape a defense and make him like really separate him from a lot of his peers to warrant that starting center spot for the next 10 years and make up for some of the defensive inefficiencies that constantly keep popping up.
Completely agree. Want to hit on defense, or do you want to move on? Okay. Talk to me, Dr. Defense. Where are you at? Now, we weren't ever going to lean towards Hannes being a plus defender. I think we were like, hey, can he be average? So where are you at?
I'd say below average.
Okay.
I think he's generally pretty smart. He's not like, the positioning for the most part tends to be really good, but the physical limitations are pretty staggering, where the foot speed is really, really bad. There's very little explosiveness to his game. 2.8 block rate, 1.8 steal rate. It's just, he doesn't, guys aren't scared of him on that end. They don't avoid him. He doesn't reshape or shift what the other team's trying to do. And there's a big reason why Washington has another center out there with him a lot of the time, and that's because he's a little more explosive of a shot blocker. So I do question, all right, can he survive if he's going to be your 5? Can he actually anchor a defense? And I don't think so, because I think NBA teams and NBA guards are going to target him relentlessly, expose that foot speed. The fundamentals are good. He's not falling all over himself and being off balance and crossing his feet and all that kind of stuff. He just isn't fast enough. So hopefully it's one of those really, really rapid learning developments. But I think he has a long, long way to go on defense to just be average.
Look, I just can't get the idea of him being Isaiah Hartenstein out of my head. And he went 43rd overall in 2017, but also he's averaging 11, 10, and 3 right now for the Thunder.
He's
so
significantly better defender.
Exactly. So that's where I get at. I was like, I trust. No, it took a little bit of time to figure it out and get in the league. So it could happen. Like, he was bouncing around. I remember when he was in the G League and he was just beasting. I was like, who's gonna give this guy a real shot? And then just, obviously worked out pretty well for him. So I'm still being patient, but I hear you. I think there's like, okay, well, more of an offensive weapon big and then you're like, okay, the boards, there's a lot of like potential here. Defensively, if he's just like okay, it's like, well, if my roster had a natural big and you could be like, well, we could maybe play jumbo with him next to it. It's like, okay, maybe that helps, but am I really investing in that too early?
But at that same point, like then your other center really has to be able to space the floor, or he has to take a major leap in shooting in both volume and consistency. Because I am optimistic about the shot long term. I don't think he's going to give you much in that situation his first couple of years, but let's say he's a below average defender for his career. The rebounding is elite, and the passing improves a little bit. The outside shot improves a little bit. Is that worth a top 10 pick?
No.
Is that worth a lottery pick?
I would say it's a late teen pick.
Yeah.
And that's if you just knocked your workout and your interview and your team's like, hey, this is perfect for us.
Right. So that's the struggle that I'm going through right now, where it's like I'm optimistic about the shot. I'm optimistic about the passing. I think he is a smart defender despite the physical limitations. But my optimism isn't going to make him better at these things. So how realistic is it that he actually significantly improves in one of those key areas to bump him up a couple spots? And that's just what I'm battling with.
Yeah, no, I have him right outside my lottery. Like I think I might have even had him at 15 on my last board. It's also just troubling when you're like, hey, like I love this guy. Would I be shocked on draft night if he went 21st? And you kind of just sit and you're like, probably not. A lot of guys have to heat up and go ahead of him, but like
I don't think he's going to test like insanely well.
That's the part too, and people be like, it doesn't matter. Oh, it matters. The combine matters.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but
no,
every year,
I agree with
every year people fall in love with measurables and testing and private workouts. Happens all the time.
There's also guys that get buzzed after just March Madness.
Yeah.
Do I agree with it? No, but I know why, because everyone in the league is at the same thing and they're all buzzing and talk about it. So it's just, this is the nature of the beast. So I don't think he'll test great there, but that's a good point too. So, okay, let's move on. Let's get to someone we both love. North Carolina Junior, Henri Veesaar, Metcalf. We've been trying to get the No Ceilings guys to fall in love with them, but I think we're stuck on this one. So Henri Veesaar, 7 foot, about 230. He's a junior. He transferred from Arizona. He's originally from Estonia. 22. He'll be 22 years old at the draft. His birthday is in March, so he'll be turning 22 right before then. Unbelievable numbers so far this year. He's at 17.4 points, 9 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 1.1 blocks, shooting splits of 65-53, 65 from the free throw line. That's in 17 games and 30 minutes. Talk to me about Henri. Are you still in love as much as possible?
Course. Yeah, I still don't get what the hesitation is. And last year was always, oh, well, he can't really defensive rebound. Okay, check. Fix that. Defensive rebounding rate up to 21.7, offensive rebounding rate 8.9, effective field goal rate 72.2, block rate 3.7. That could be better. 69.5% on 2, 53.5% from 3 on almost 5 attempts per 100. I don't think Veesaar is going to be an all-NBA guy. I don't think he's going to be an all-defensive team guy. I think he's going to be one of those fringe starters for 10 years. I just think he's super good, really consistent, really versatile, and really, really low maintenance. He's not one of these guys that's going to go out there and try and create his own shot and play outside of who he is. He's going to pick and pop. He's going to rim run. He's going to rebound, and he's going to wreak havoc on defense. And that's what he's always done. That's what he's done this year. And just some of his play types per synergy, 74th percentile as a pick and roll man, 92nd percentile on cuts, 71st percentile on post-ups, 100th percentile on spot-ups. Low volume, but I think only 22 possessions of that. 99th percentile on all jumpers, 98th percentile on shooting off the catch. And he ranks in the 86th percentile in frequency for that, in terms of his own shot distribution. But then 94th percentile at the rim. So when you just want like a rim running pick and pop big, boom, here's a 7-footer who played at Arizona, North Carolina, had a ton of success at both. I don't know what else he needs to do.
Look, I've watched him in Arizona, fell in love with him at Arizona. North Carolina, I've seen the same player, except he got better. This is the thing with Henry, and this is my big draft philosophy is like, okay, whenever you're making a big board, whenever you're scouting, if you're out there doing this, if you're listening, first of all, we love you. But I wrote an article a couple of years ago, and I'm like, hey, it's overthinking season. We're not approaching it yet, but maybe I'll bring that one back. But there's a time in the year where you're overthinking. You've watched so much film, you've thought back and forth about a prospect, you're overthinking. So what sometimes helps me is I will go through my board and be like, the negatives, who has real negatives I'm concerned about? Like, who has real ones that and then whose am I just, I'm trying to make this a bigger deal than it is. So like with Veesaar's good. He's really good. And my joke is always like, draft good players. And what I mean by that is like, if they do a lot of really good things, don't blow up don't blow up like, hey, I've always said Veesaar's a finesse big. And what I mean by that is like, you can't put him in there at the 5 to just bully and out rebound people all the time, because he's not going to be able to throw people around. Your boy, Johan Berenger, he's not that way right now. Could he add some weight and get that way? Absolutely. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get some girth and stuff.
Yeah.
Veesaar's never been that way. He's a floor spacing pick and pop dream for a point guard. And he knows how to play his way. He's a really underrated playmaker. He's a smart off-ball guy. He knows where to position himself. He knows how to get, a lot of, and I'm not saying cheap points, but he knows how to get a lot of smart points, strategic points of being like, we slide over to the dunker spot a little bit because Caleb Wilson's driving, so there's a really intelligent player there. And then you get a 7-foot smart floor spacer who knows when to take his shots. Like, he doesn't jack up threes all the time, but like when you're wide open, he's easily knocks those down. I think he's just really good. I think this is a guy that, you draft him and then all of a sudden he's going to get paid. Like, this is one of those guys where it's like, he might not be all NBA, but he's going to get paid because he's a nice piece to have.
I had a first-round grade on him last year before he decided to transfer immediately after the season was over. A handful of NBA people I talked to also had him in that late first, and when he went back, they were shocked and kind of disappointed because he's one of these guys that I think teams were hoping to be able to swing on and snag in that late first, early second range. Apparently they can just get him in that same range now anyways, because no one loves this dude. Then just so it's not all sunshine and rainbows, he is skinny. He does need to get a lot stronger. The lower body strength isn't where it needs to be. The rebounding, especially on the defensive end, has improved a ton this year compared to where it was last year. But the bigger bigs are still going to be able to fold them in half when they want to. They're going to be able to throw their body around. A guy like Jonas Valanciunas scares me a little bit. If Veesaar has to really defend him on the post up or boxing him out, it's probably not going to go great. But again, Valanciunas is one of the strongest dudes in the league and does that to everybody. So there will be some learning and craft and strength gain that has to accompany all of that. But it is a very real weakness for him, both on the eval and physically.
The reason why I think he could go later is exactly what you just said, because I think teams can look and be like, yeah, he's skinny though, because he's a 7-footer, but you can't play him at the 5 at the next level. Now you can if you're like, hey, we're gonna play small. We're going to live with it, but our small ball is him at the 5, which is a really dangerous, fun idea. If you're just like, hey, at times we're going to play him at the 5, you're like, oh gosh, that's legit 5 out because he can shoot. But like,
and like if you're Toronto at 21,
I'm looking at
as of
that's
right
what I'm
now,
looking at right now. I'm
like,
like,
with how beefy their forwards and wings are, I love that fit.
I like that. I mean, OKC with anyone.
Charlotte,
I really like him with the Knicks. It's still one of my favorite fits. It's like him with the Knicks, but like,
the Lakers.
look, like Minnesota, they probably wouldn't do it, but like, doesn't that give you a fun little like, oh, my thinking is like Gobert and Veesaar. It's like, okay,
How dare you throw my sweet prince Johan Berenger, who just dominated the Bucks, who is a plus
no,
30 against
I'm saying
Giannis.
Berenger is going to be
How dare you?
fantastic. I'm just saying, like, the idea of like you get some muscle, some legit, just gigantic next to Veesaar, and then you're a real problem to deal with, because I think of Henry as more of a forward in a 7-foot body. Like he's more of like your traditional, like, oh, most of these guys are 6'8", 6'9" on the perimeter, and he just plays strategically like I've got all this extra height. It's almost like Thomas Hauk at 7 foot in a weird way. It's just kind of, he's got a unique thing that you don't see a lot. And I think he's going to be able to shoot it at an efficient level at the next level too. I think he's a really smart player.
Been a sniper from outside this year. So,
well, because people leave him open and he's got a good shot. So he's just like, this is me in the gym by myself. So half of his shots are just no one covers them, because he's like, okay.
I forget which game it was, but it's one of UNC's early games in the year against one of their bigger opponents. So it wasn't against a nobody, but I think it was the first half. He just is just exclusively pick and pop, and he hit 3 or 4 threes. And coming out of halftime, whoever they were playing guarded him totally different, started switching that, and then he was like, all right, cool, I'll just go rim run and dunk on you constantly. And then he got another 8 to 10 points at the rim because of that. It's like that type of versatility. We had flashes of it last year at Arizona. Now we're getting it just every possession.
And look, it's not just like, oh, pick and pop. Like, he plays with his hair on fire. He's really competitive. There's hustles.
Some sneaky passing stuff.
There's the passing is since Arizona.
Yeah.
Because look, Krivas goes down for Arizona last year, and I was like, they might be in trouble. But Veesaar off the bench, I was like, this guy needs to play more. And then they put him in, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my goodness, he's fantastic. And the assist numbers don't back up how good of a passer he is. Now, he's had some games where he has some nice box scores, like against Ohio State, he had 17, 10, and 5, but most of these games are, 3 assists, 2 assists, 2 assists. It's just really smart connecting. And then like legit rim runner, lob threat, who can throw down with some anger, throw up, classic. Okay. Any other thoughts, Metcalf, on Veesaar?
No.
Good. Okay. Let's talk about, you want to go positive or no? I'm going to sandwich it. So let's talk about Morez Johnson, your knight in shining armor. Morez Johnson, sophomore, transferred from Illinois, correct?
Yep.
I'm not getting everyone mixed up. Thank you. It's that time of the day. Listed around 6'9", 6'10", 250. Will be 20 years old at the draft. Turns 20 in January, in like 2 weeks. Shout out that. But stats for the year: 14.3 points, 7.1 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 1.3 blocks, 23 minutes, splits of 67, 40, 81. Did I miss anything?
Just that he rocks.
Yeah, he rocks. So sell me this pen. Shout out to Corey and Albert for the new folks that are getting caught up. Morez Johnson.
Is your team playing soft? Can you not get a rebound? Do you need some actual energy and effectiveness and defensive versatility? Here we go. I still think he's by far the most underrated player in this draft. Not just big. I think he's the most underrated player. I think he's doing exactly what we hoped Jayden Quaintance would do this year. And his numbers are ridiculous. BPM of 12.6, effective field goal rate 68.7, rebounding rates of 12.4 on offense, 18.5 on defense, 5.9 block rate, 2.1 steal rate, 69.4% from 2, 40% from 3. He's only taken 10 attempts, but I buy it. And if you're like, well, he's on one of the best teams in the country, he's a situation merchant. He's feasting off of the gravity of Yaxel and Aday Mara. It's like, well, he did almost the exact same thing at Illinois last year in a completely different context with completely different coaching and role and all of that kind of stuff. His numbers are absurd, but then you actually just watch him and it's the constant energy. It's the relentlessness, cutting to the rim, running in transition, getting back on defense, crashing the boards, combined with it's the same chaos from last year and over FIBA, but now also combined with the game slowing down around him, where he's more composed in traffic. He's stringing together some post moves on finishes, occasionally finding a kick out pass. The passing has to improve. I'm not saying he's perfect in any of these, but all of this is really translatable, and it's everything that you dream of when you're looking for someone contributing to winning basketball, and he does it every single night.
I think he's fantastic. I think this is the one big prospect that we always see a very favorable boost for a couple guys around March Madness. I think Morez could be one of those that gets a really big boost. And it's because of the situation he's in, the context of that Michigan team is unbelievable. They're going to be a national championship real like wagon contender as long as they stay healthy and everything. But especially now that they lost the game, I'm convinced those are always good for your title chances. I think you watch some of their games, or if you box score Chase, you're going to be like, well, why did he not show up this game? Why didn't he not show up? And it's like, well, because look at Mara and Yaxel Lindenberg that game. Like those guys go nuts. He just is putting together smart performances. I actually think there's I feel better about his playmaking than Hannes. I like the flashes more because there's some accuracy stuff.
I think the accuracy is better.
Yeah. Yes, there's some good reads. There's some stuff where you're like, you could build off of that. The first time I did a deep dive on his stuff this year, I was like, man, okay, I like the offense. I'm in. There's some good stuff. There's some good hands. There's good footwork. There's at that size, he runs hard in transition despite being, 250. He moves and he's a barreling giant, but he's got good feet too. And then you get to the defense and you're like, this is a really smart, team defender and just kind of dissecting the whole floor. Like he moves well, he rotates right on time. There's good shot blocking. It's not always the flashiest, but it's just always well, he's right there in the right position, hands straight up. All right, you're going the other way. And then there's some also big time rejection stuff. So I just think this is a guy that's really going to keep creeping up. And that's where this class gets interesting, because I feel like everyone's kind of looking at the top right now, okay, we're waiting a little bit. And then you're like, yeah, but Morez just keeps slowly coming up. They just played Washington. He had 16 and 16. So I don't know. Yes, there's nights where he's just overpowering lesser opponents, but there's also nights where it's Morez is unbelievable. He might be the best player on the court.
Which he was in that Washington game.
Yeah.
And he has been a lot of the times. And even when he's not the best guy on the court, he's the most consistent. You almost always know exactly what you're getting out of him. And it's really rare to see a guy 6'9", 250 legitimately sit down in a defensive stance, slide his feet, switch pick and rolls, take on point guards, and then effortlessly switch into defending a big and then collapsing down and for the help block. And he's constantly doing that kind of stuff. And I know listeners are sick of hearing me being like, hey, he's going to shoot it. It's yeah, he's taking 10 attempts. Cool, dude. But he's got really good touch. He's shooting 81.7% from the line this year. That's he's
84%. 84% in his last 5 games from the free throw line on 6.2 attempts. Yeah, he's got good touch
on the season. And then when we compare that, for the drive-by on Quaintance almost an hour later, Jayden Quaintance shot 48% from the line last year.
I think he's at 30 right now.
Sick. Love that. Like, I love that he has a free throw rate of almost, that Quaintance has a free throw rate of like 92 in his 4 games. But if you're never going to make it, what does it matter? That's a huge, huge step for Morez that he's actually making all of his free throws. It's an insane clip. I really do buy the shot from like a pick and pop spot up situation. And then you factor in how good of a cutter he is, how much versatility he's showing in the short roll compared to last year and in high school. Coming out of high school, I didn't get it at all with him. I was like, why is this dude a 4 or 5 star prospect? Why is he going to Illinois? Like, this is ridiculous.
I think we saw him at Hoop Summit and we were like, absolutely not.
We absolutely did. But the telling thing there is you said, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think the other day we were talking about it and you brought it up and I was like, he was there. Like, and it was just more of like, you're right, he was there and I forgot. And then you guys started talking about it. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember. But that also just tell you, like, it just takes time. Gosh.
And he won me over last year at Illinois. So coming into the year, he's a first rounder for me. And every day he just gets better. And every day he contributes to winning basketball. And I just keep moving him up. So I have him at 12 right now. I know that might sound ridiculous, but
it's not ridiculous. Go with your heart. That's what we tell everyone. Like, go with your gut. Go with your heart if you put in the work.
And if the guy's going to show me
too much film,
if the guy's going to show me exactly what I want to see every time I watch him, and every time I look at his numbers, and every time I look at his measurements, what else is there?
I also think, and we're just talking philosophy now. If you're an evaluator and you do all the work and you do this, and you don't learn anything if you don't like exactly what you're doing. Like, if you move Morez up, you keep him there all year and it just doesn't work out, you can learn from it.
Yeah.
Like, what did I miss? But if you're just like, I don't know, everyone else doesn't like him, so I can't get too aggressive. You'll never learn a thing because you're not going with your gut. So, look, I have him early 20s, I think, and I want to move him up. Yeah. This is my thing with the class. Maybe this is the episode we needed to even push the engine forward more. And this is not just for Morez. This is with all these bigs. I feel like I'm underwhelmed with the top guys. And now I'm going, why don't I just flip my board with the bigs? Like, why if I like all these guys down here, and I do that a lot of years. Like, all of a sudden I'm like, why don't I like this guy more? Why don't I move him up more? Like the AJ Mitchell year. I was like, I love AJ Mitchell. Why am I being afraid of moving him up? It happens every year. Like, why are you being afraid? You've watched enough film. You can't go watch the film again. You're going to have the same opinion. So, like, I respect it. And Morez has been the most consistent guy this year, where it's like when he doesn't have a big game, I watch the games and I'm like, his impact's all over the place because he's throwing hockey assists or he's making the right, rotations. And Yaxel had 18 and 12 that game, and Mara had 15 and 8 with 4, so it's like everybody's got to eat. And some games he just goes, hey, I'll play my role. No, and he's like, I'll play my role. And we won by 35.
Yeah,
I'm good. Let's do this for everyone that's annoyed with Michigan. Is there any reason why it wouldn't work out? Because we always talk about Morez as just like,
no, of course.
So is there any reason you're concerned it won't work?
Yeah. The free throw numbers are an absolute outlier and not an actual indicator of his touch, and the shooting never gets to anywhere where it needs to be. And I keep throwing around the Quaintance comparison, but Quaintance is significantly more explosive. Not significantly, he's more explosive than Morez. Yes. Like Morez is a little more, like, I would describe Morez's athleticism as more like powerful than explosive. If that makes sense, but he's not a huge time primary rim protector. And that's where I do get a little worried I love his versatility. I love how he sits down in the stands. I love him as a weak side shot blocker, but can he really anchor a defense? I think so. But if he can't, it could be a real problem, because then you have to get a little creative with what other type of big you throw him out there next to. But those would probably be the two biggest questions that I have.
I'm talking in terms of like pure athleticism and like mobility. So I'm not talking about skill. But like Morez, I feel like moves like Embiid. I still will stick to that one. He moves around the floor and like Embiid, where it's like the more like he gets somewhere with his steps, but it's a little slower because he's got extra weight and he doesn't have the quick leaping off the ground verticality. But like if you give him momentum, he's a tough one to stop because he's got power coming behind it. I feel like is Quaintance a little bit like Jalen Duren, where it's just like, oh gosh, he could explode really quick. You know what I'm trying to
It's
say?
kind of like prime Robert Williams, where
Yeah.
he's really springy. And
Morez needs that momentum to get the power
yeah,
to throw down on you. And JQ has like, oh, all of a sudden when he's healthy,
yeah.
he
There's
has all of a
just
sudden
more
he just
load up with Morez.
explode. Yeah, right. So I get it. Anything else, or let's move on. I know we're having way too much fun with this one.
Last thing with Morez, when we did our preseason hot take or bold prediction or whatever episode, I said Morez was going to be Michigan's first drafted player. Sticking by it.
You might not be wrong there, because I know everyone loves Yoxel and every fan right now loves to put Yoxel pretty early in their mocks, but I know how NBA teams think, and I don't think that's going to happen. And I love Yoxel. I'm the CEO of the fan club. Okay, let's get on to a guy that we've struggled with, that a lot of people are high on, Pat Ngongba. I know we're going lengthy on this one, folks, but this feels like a really good episode. So
that's what timestamps are for.
Yeah, there you go. That's what timestamps are for. That people really love to tell us about the timestamps. Okay, Pat Ngongba from Duke, sophomore. Some people absolutely love him. Me and you are trying to get memberships to the fan club, but they keep telling us they're out. He's 6'11", 250 listed by Duke's website. He will be 20 years old at draft day, just turning 20 in March. What else am I missing? Stats there. See, hosting's hard sometimes. 10.8 points, 6.4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.4 blocks. That's in 17 games and 23 minutes. His shooting splits are 63, 25, 64. A little disclaimer to everyone, like, always take the big 3-point percentage with a grain of salt, because it's usually pretty dang low volume. Metcalf, I'm going to let you go big picture here, and then I know you love to rattle off the advanced numbers. So if you want to do that, go ahead. If you weren't ready, I'll keep rambling for a little bit to buy you some time. But
you're good.
Give me your thoughts with Pat.
We're really struggling.
We just did an episode, or we did a big board episode. We kind of vented a little bit on that, but obviously this is a little bit more of a lengthier vent. So sorry to everyone. We don't have to keep this one super long. Because,
I want to buy in. I really do, because a lot of the numbers look fantastic. And BPM was 7.6, effective field goal rate 66.2, rebounding rates 11.6, offense 18.1, defense. The passing stuff with him, finding cutters from the high post, top of the key, it rocks. It's so much fun. Block rate of 7.0, free throw rate 72.5. It rocks. But it feels like he disappears from games. And when he actually does something, good things tend to happen. But my concern is that I have to say when he does something. It's similar to the classic cliche of, oh man, when he locks in on defense, it's like, oh, awesome. How often is he actually doing that? Because the one possession I get a game of him actually locking in on defense, fantastic. What about the other 50? And that's where I struggle with Big Pat, because if you're going by the numbers, he's a top 10 guy. At the advanced numbers, he's a top 10 guy. If you're going by the raw numbers, we'll see you next year. If you're going by the film, you're like, I don't know what to do, and you're driving me insane, because the flashes rock. The weak side rim protection rocks. I have a billion questions about how real any of it is, though.
Yeah, look, coming into the year, we'll probably touch on. I imagine Chris Sinak will touch on it in a later episode. So but coming into the year, I started this episode saying like, hey, coming into the year, I was getting more excited about this class, because I was like, well, if Pat takes another step, if Sinak really hits this ground running for Houston, if Quaintance is like healthy and rolling, like this is where the class could get funny. It's like, okay, we're kind of down on all three of those ifs right now. Now, it doesn't mean that they're all not super talented in the upside, but it just hasn't happened as quickly as I want. And bigs are really tricky because all of a sudden just like you're waiting forever and then the light switch goes on and you're like, where the heck has this been? Derek Lively at Duke. You can rattle off a couple more if you think of any, but like we've seen it multiple times. But Pat, like I'm looking at some of these games, like Louisville, he plays 10 minutes. He has 4 and 3. And I think I texted you. I was like, look, I haven't watched the film, but like, when's the last time you've seen a lottery pick have 4 and 3 at the big man position? And then like they played Cal last night, and I'm watching the game, and it's 8, 6, and 2. Like, it just seems like there's games where I'm like, gosh, you just be dominating.
Is he the big man version of Tyrone Riley?
But hurt. It hurt more than it should have. He's just frustrating to me because this is the analytics like battle.
Yeah.
Where every analytics person will be like, look at the advanced numbers, and I'm like, okay, I don't care what advanced number you show me if you're giving me 4 and 3. Now I haven't watched the game. I don't really want it for just Pat right now. It's like, let me get to a happy place first. So like, there's other games though where it's like, okay, 6 and 6, 4 and 4 against Texas Tech in 21 minutes. Excuse me, 4 and 4 in 21 minutes against Texas Tech, but 1 for 1 from the field. So you'd be like, oh well, he had 4 assists. And I'm like, okay, but where am I taking this?
Yeah,
because I'm not taking this top 10. And like you asked me on the last episode, you said, hey, but like when is it on? And I'm like, okay, well, you could look at the Florida game and be like, okay, it was great. He had 11-5 and 11-5 and 5 with, I think, also 5 blocks. Like that was like, woo, we're cooking. Now you watch that game back, I think there's like 3 blocks where it's just like the standing up straight right over the basket, but he's still doing his job. I'm just as confused as you because I like Pat, but I'm like, I don't know why I can't get to that next level. And I've said this before. I thought last year he was one of the best bigs on the roster. And I was with Kaman Malawaj, who went 10th. I was just like, Pat really gives them an interesting dynamic with the playmaking, but it seems like we haven't gotten a step forward from his play last year.
Yeah. And
that's where I'm at.
Which is rough, especially with the injury concerns. I really worry about his end-to-end speed when the pace picks up. Like we were talking about how Quaintance struggled, or looked like he was struggling with conditioning in that Alabama game. I don't know if Pat could have stayed on the floor in that game. I worry about I desperately worry about his defense outside of the paint. And he looks terrified to venture outside of the restricted area ever. And now he's really good in there. And a lot of that too, I think, is defensive scheme and how Duke is telling Pat and Boozer to defend, because both those guys constantly camp out in the paint on defense to try and control the boards and be a rim deterrent and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But also I don't, when he is out there, I don't trust him to actually do anything. I think he's going to get torn up on the perimeter in the NBA. So I don't know who he is. I can't figure out a comp for him either in the NBA because who is he? And
poor man's Al Jefferson.
Oh boy,
I love Al. Big
yeah,
Al
was a really good player. He's one of the best offensive bigs of a generation, but defense is non-existent.
Yeah. So the opposite, the evil twin brother.
Like, could he be Isaiah Stewart? And like,
no,
Stu's been awesome on defense.
No, because I think Stu moved better.
Yeah,
than people remember at Washington. He moved a lot better. Now they played zone a lot, but like I still felt when he moved, I was like, there's a difference between playing 100% to your like capability and me watching and being like, God, why do you look like you're going 70% on defense? Now, like I'm not trying to insult Pat, but like beginning of the year, this was the one guy I got from scouts of like medicals. I'm worried about the medicals. So he's going to be the medical guy at the combine. Just saying he goes,
And
we're
I
talking too far ahead, but like
desperately hope they come back bright green.
same here. Same here. I'm scared for this year because last year we had such a good year. But Pat, it's just a tough one because like it looks like it's when I'm watching him on the court, especially like when he's like having to get out in space and defend him. I'm like, gosh, are you coasting or is it your body? Which is a tough.
Or is it
I
both?
don't know. Or is it both? Because he's a really good shot blocker, really talented.
Yeah.
He has so many parts of his game that I'm like, oh, it could work. Could work.
Here's a weird one for you. Is he Luke Cornett?
Now we're getting into a good, realistic area.
Now, Cornett has like 2 or 3 inches on Pat, which changes things. But
because I was going to say it's Henri Veesaar Cornett, but
classic white guy.
Yeah, white on white.
Yeah, you gotta go with the 4 and white though. You got close.
Yeah, exactly. Look, Luke is.
I don't hate that one.
I think Luke's better. I think you'd want him to be Luke. Now, people that don't watch Luke Cornett the last couple of years will be like, "What are you talking about?" And he is fantastic.
He's been crucial for the Spurs this year.
And with the Celtics, he turned into like a really, really good big. Like I was like watching him every game, and I was like, I hate how good you are because I can just see the money going up out of our cast. We are losing you. I know it. But he was really, really good. And he's a weapon. And for the Spurs, he's been good. So, like, could he become that? Yes. If the body allows it and if he buys in, I think so. But, like, Luke turned into a good perimeter defender at the end of the time with the Celtics. Like, he was not good. He was fine. He wasn't. Teams would target him and he'd be like, I'm okay. I can handle this.
Because he's huge.
Yeah.
So where do you take that?
35. 28 to 35.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just
talking about. I'm like, okay, be realistic right here. You're not taking that at 12 in a stacked draft class. So
no.
I don't know. He's tough because I want to buy in another level. I loved him out of high school.
I really want to. And pretty much any analytic or advanced number that you look at is going to be really favorable to him. And rightfully so, because when he does stuff, he looks good. The problem is when.
It's funny because my process is like with Pat or with anyone, if I like him enough and I can't fall in love, I will go down an analytic rabbit hole. I think, there's always a fun debate of like analytics versus film. And it's like, well, smart people do both. That's how you're a good scout, is if you're doing both, it's match what I'm watching. So like I watch Pat on film, like, and I go to the analytics and I'm like, what in the world? It's like, oh my goodness. And then you go back and you're like, why don't these match? So that's where it gets frustrating. That's where you want to buy in, because you're like, I see the analytic model. And then you're like, is everyone's computer software down? Are all the formulas hacked? But you know what I'm saying?
No, it's beneficiary of low sample size. And when you're good at something on low sample, it looks incredible. But it definitely skews things. And he's going to give me headaches. His eval is going to give me headaches up until he decides whether he's staying in or going out. And I get it. Like if you're in love, and it's the opposite of how I am with Morez, where I'm just in. I get it. I got it last year. I get it now. And Pat, I can't get there. But I know a lot of people who are.
All right, let's hit on one more, because I know we're going lengthy here, and then we can do a couple rapid fires. So, hopefully this is a good one, and if you guys, we can do another follow up for everyone listening. Like the guards episode, this big one now. Me and Metcalf are probably closer to the draft going to be doing like a full primer, but we're just trying to have fun with like, okay, here's where we're at right now. What did you say?
We got like 5 or 6 months. We got plenty of time.
Do we? Let's go back to Michigan. Okay. Aday Mara. Let's finish off the deep dives with Gosh, what a year he's having, huh? Aday Mara, listed at 7'3", 255, gigantic human being.
Yeah.
This huge friggin' guy. Was at UCLA, first of all, backwards. Really talented prospect from Spain. Came over to the States to UCLA. UCLA just didn't play him. Shout out Mick Cronin. And then it just didn't work out, that fit. And then he goes to Michigan, and it's been perfect for him. He is 20. He's going to be 21 in April. Stats on the year: 10 points, 7.5 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 2.6 blocks, almost half a steal a game, 2 turnovers. In 22 minutes, he's 68% from the field, and Metcalf's favorite, 41% from the free throw line.
Tough.
It's always like, oh, fun. Whoa.
It's like, what is that? What is that?
No, that has to be a wrong print. Last night, he had my favorite big man box score, which is 20 points and 2 rebounds on 10 of 11 shooting against Washington. That's when you know he must have gotten a lot, but he had 3 blocks too. So go ahead, take the floor. Talk to me about Aday.
Remember when people were convinced he was going number 1 after his freshman year? What a time to be alive. But kind of like what we were talking about with Pat, where small sample size can really skew things. And Aday was one of those guys after his freshman and sophomore year where he's getting like 6 minutes a game on average over the 2 years, and people would throw out his per 40 numbers. They're like, this guy's a Hall of Famer. It's like, he's not playing. Like, he did a few things in a very small amount of time. When you extrapolate that to 40 minutes, it means nothing. So I didn't get the Mara love at all. I thought he was heavy-footed. I thought he was slow. I thought he was kind of soft. I didn't think he could shoot. And when he transferred to Michigan, I was like, oh no, this is going to be an adventure. It's going to be interesting one way or the other. And I've done a complete 180. He's been really, really good, and he's playing a lot tougher, which is got to be a tough look for Mick Cronin, where a guy leaves and then looks tougher. That's a different conversation, I guess. It's getting late, getting a little loopy. But he's absolutely dominated and controlled the paint on both ends of the floor the entire season. Effective field goal rate, 68.2. Rebounding rates, 10.1 on offense, 23.6 on defense. Block rate, 12.3. And I think it was last week someone shared a stat. I apologize, I don't remember who, but it was defensive average shot distance. And a lot of teams were in that 4 to 5 foot range. And Michigan's was like 8.5. So he's pushing, like he's almost single-handedly deterring shots at the rim, in the paint, making life really, really difficult for opposing players. And that's not something I saw consistently at all last year. That free throw number really concerns me.
It's the last. I don't look. I'm with you. I'm completely loopy right now, and I don't have any mediocre analogies to throw out. But it is the last elephant in the room. Like, you look at everything, you're like, okay, free throw. What in the, like? Because you mentioned this on the big board episode. You're like, he'll get played off the court fast.
Yeah,
he has to fix that. Like, even getting to 60% is unbelievable.
Yeah,
like for his size.
So look, just real quick, sorry to cut you off.
Ahead. See, now you're getting the itch to take over the host things. This is what happens with you. Then all of a sudden,
I just wanted to read off a stat while I was still somewhat near my tangent. So his defense, I just mentioned the average shot distance on defense. What do you think opponents are shooting at the rim when he's out there?
24%.
Okay, well, when you low ball it like that, everyone.
No, okay. Seriously,
33.3%.
I was gonna say 32%.
But on 18 attempts.
That's a bigger number.
Yeah.
I don't care. The 18 is a way bigger number. I mean, we're almost 20 games in the year, folks. 18 attempts.
That's what Synergy's telling me. So
even if that was 38%, I'd be like, 18? We've played almost 20 games and only 18 attempts, but look, like Metcalf, he's doing this all in like 21, 22-ish minutes. And then like the Wake Forest game, second game of the year, he played 37 minutes. He had 18, 13, 6, and 5 blocks.
Yeah.
Look, we're making Mick Cronin jokes. We said this in the top. Like, bigs take time. They just click.
Yeah.
I think this was when he transferred. I was like, heck yeah, get out of there. Because sometimes it's
I also needed a reality check.
Yeah, you need you also just need someone else to believe in you.
Yeah.
And he probably just got to the point where like, hey, it's not going to work at UCLA. Get out of there. Like, find a system that's going to work for you. And it's just, I'm with you. Couldn't have been more out on him. See, at UCLA, seeing him a couple times. No, everything I heard, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And then watching him this year, I was like, I'm in, and I do not buy back in. Like, I'm usually pretty stubborn on that because I'm like, you got to show. And then it was very easy with him because I got to see him again in person this year, and it wasn't even like a dominant game. I saw him. I just was like, he's got such good vision, and it's just he sees the floor like a unbelievable veteran point guard of just like knows exactly where to go. Like teams are trying to bully him off of the block or anywhere, and he's just looking over, holding the ball as high as possible, and just whip past to the corner. I don't know where he's going to go in the draft. Would it shock me anywhere? Because we've talked about this. Like, look at the run on bigs and the
would
hit
it
rate
floor
right
you
now.
if he even returned? Just because, like, he's going to garner.
When do they get out? Do they win the title?
Elite Eight.
Honestly, it's probably going to be the biggest tournament for him of any prospect. If he has a good statistical run, like doesn't turn the ball over, he protects the rim. We've seen this too many times. Yeah. He could get sizzling stock wise because if teams are like, look, 7 threes blocking shots, like because I just know how that event goes.
Look at how good Zach Edey's been and how important he's been to the Grizzlies. Like when he's not on the court, they can't play competent basketball.
Donovan Clingan this year, we talked. You mentioned
monster. We saw how people fell in love with Malawach last year. Like these jumbo bigs, they're proving they can survive. And if they're an elite shot blocker and they have an elite offensive skill, whether it's the scoring touch of Edey or they're all awesome offensive rebounders. But if there's something on the offensive end that they can bring, and for Mara, it's his passing, like at a minimum, it's like, oh yeah, we could get him 15 to 20 minutes as a backup. And if it really hits, now we're talking about a big time starting center down the road. So now I throw out Edey's name. Mara does not have the scoring touch of Edey, but I'm just saying stylistically, like massive human beings like that, there are only so many you can compare to.
It's a really good question. Look, how high could he get? I don't know if there's a number.
If he went earlier than like 10, I'd be pretty surprised. But I think like that 10 is like, oh, are they going to do it? Oh, are they going to do it?
Yeah. 10 you're on watch.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying 10 you're on watch where it's like Mara keeps playing like this, Michigan keeps rolling, the other bigs keep like, we're kind of waiting for something because it's just look like everyone can make jokes about Young Hansen. I think he's still gonna be fine, but it's also just like he went early. And like Portland's being smart. They're putting him in the G to just get him some run, get him some experience. So like gigantic bigs with an elite skill, like you just said, I think teams are going to keep swinging on him because it's right now you're like, is there a high hit rate here? And Mara is also a good shot blocker.
Totally changes everything. Like it shifts things so much in your favor just because of having that size. It's such a benefit.
It's a gigantic advantage. So you just asked me, I'll ask you the question I didn't answer for you. Would you see him return? That's a good question.
I could. Because he's going to garner all the same questions that Edey had, where it's like, oh, he can't run the floor. Oh, he can't defend in space. Oh, he's too big. Guards are going to pull him out. And yeah, Probably, but he's also gigantic, and once he learns to defend with that hand up, takes away a lot of that shooting lines and passing vision and passing angles. I think he's also doing a pretty good job of moving his feet in space. Not like I want him switching out there, but when he's able to keep the ball on one side and not have to flip his hips, he's pretty good. He's kind of figured out how to keep guys within arm's length to at least disrupt shots if they blow by him. So it wouldn't shock me if he returned, though.
We're gonna have some surprises from this year's class because of next year's class.
Yeah.
I think if they had like a Final Four run and he's playing good and being mentioned as a top 17 guy,
You go.
you might have to go. But also he seems like the biggest, like, combine's probably gonna be really big for him. Like just workouts, like private workouts and interviews.
Yeah.
So okay. Anyone quick hitters? This is the longest episode we've ever done in a really long minute, but I feel like we needed this. This was therapy for us. So let's just go quick hitters. Anyone you wanted to we didn't talk about that you really like, that you're like, hey, we're not going to go into depth about them, but let's give them a quick shout, maybe for future episodes, or people should keep an eye on.
I think Joshua Jefferson, he might be a little more of a actual 4, kind of that tweener range, but fun player.
It's tough because there's a lot of guys where I'm like, well, these are probably old school natural 1990s NBA power forwards or like early 2000s. Yeah. So like Jefferson, we were debating talking about, but I was like, he's not I consider bigs 4-5s that are leaning towards 5 if you're on one side of the fence. But
Flory Badunga at Kansas. I
gives me headaches.
I don't love him. But then, like, when things look good, oh my God, they look good. And their last game, blanking on who they played. Iowa State.
Yeah, they just kicked the crap out of Iowa State. Yeah. Sorry, I watched the game the other day. I was thinking TCU.
He looks fantastic. The defense was really good. He's been really good on defense all year, really good on the boards. But in that Iowa State game, he had some drives where it's like, oh, okay, can we... Obviously, we're not going to go ISO with Flory at the next level, but is there more DHO and short roll stuff out of the pick and roll that can really be explored down the line? So it's like, all right, there might be a couple more levels to the offense that they could be sneaky to unlock here.
I'd love him to stay another year and put on 10 pounds. I think he would be a real big leaper. Zuby Ejiofor for me, I know that's still a little bit more of like the natural power forward, kind of the Josh Jefferson conversation, but I love Zuby. It just gets a little thin when it comes to like full-time centers. Oh, JT Topham, we should probably give a...
Yeah.
I like JT. I'm trying to figure out where he goes, but JT just had a absurd game. One of those box scores that you're like...
Shocker.
Yeah, like, whoa. Like, I think he had like 7 assists and 5 blocks on top of like 30 and 11. It was crazy. Anybody else, or you want
to? Terrace Reed at UConn.
Yeah,
really strong. Just gets a little bit better every year. Both the Ivisic brothers, Zvonimir and Tomislav at Illinois. Floor spacing 7-footers. Big Z, really fun shot blocker. I don't know how real it is with either of them. Eric Reeby, is freshman at UConn, keeps really piquing my interest, more of a next year or even junior year guy, but he's been a lot more effective than I was anticipating. Malachi Moreno at Kentucky just gets incrementally better every single game. Had a really nice game against LSU the other day. He could be a huge beneficiary of if Quaintance can't really get back on the court, or whatever happens there. But I was really out on him the first month. I was like, don't get it, don't see it at all. But he's just gotten a little bit better, and I think the defensive awareness and processing speed, especially for him, has started to take a pretty big leap. Johan Grunlow at Virginia, technically very good, needs to get stronger. Krivas at Arizona,
man,
just monster of a human being.
I think that's another sneaky. We talked about this with the Aday Mara earlier, or Morez. I think Krivas could be another one. If Arizona makes a lengthy run, he could get a little bit of momentum. He's had that momentum before. I think scouts are starting to kind of warm up again. It's always tough when you kind of get hurt on a player and then you're like, Just when I thought I'm out, they pull me back in. So that's a good list. Marino's a good shout. I feel like he's warming up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you're ever out. You're just saying I'm out as a this year one and done with a
no,
lot of those guys. Yeah.
he's not ready to go pro.
You were like, hey, one more
I'm
year.
still not there, but I'm still in the next year camp. But I'm the way he's improving, doing the little things, has been really encouraging.
Okay. Well, this has been a fun one, but we're not done yet. We're just getting started. Metcalf, we've got to get after it a little bit because it's the No Ceilings Green Room time. No matter how late, we don't close until we close. So Metcalf, No Ceilings Green Room. Everybody knows this. It's the most exclusive draft club in the world. Every week we talk about who deserves to get in, who's got to get in line. Only 14 get in line, Metcalf. And I'm going to try to remember these rules off the top of my head because I'm not reading them. So we are mainly on vibes here, folks. Vibes are very big vibes. This is not an indicator of our big board rankings. This is not our top 14. We are just going off vibes. It's
God,
pure
can you imagine
vibes.
if it was our big board rankings?
It'd be pretty ugly. It'd be a lot of Dwayne Aristode. Also, if you're hurt, you cannot be in the green room or in line. You've got to go home. If you miss, we've said if you're hurt and you miss a game. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. 14 only get in. Vibes. Did I miss anything?
Just 1 week, and once you're in, your place is not secured.
Yes, that is true. We've kicked Mr. Peterson out.
Yeah.
He was in and we kicked him out. So like no one's safe. This is more important than the draft green room because more than 14 get invited now. But anyways, are you ready, Metcalf? Let me do a review for everyone. In line. No, I'm sorry. In the green room, which is always just an unbelievable lineup to go down. Koa Pete, Caleb Wilson, LeBaron Philon, Cameron Carr, AJ DeBansa, Darius Acuff Jr., Yaxel Lindenberg, Christian Anderson, and Kingston Flemings. We are getting guard heavy in the green room. In line, Cameron Boozer, Thomas Houck, Keaton Wagler, Tyler Tanner, Joshua Jefferson, Morez Johnson Jr., and Ibuka Okori. Metcalf, do you have... Oh, yes, we nominate one person each for the line. So does anyone...
Is there anyone you want to boot?
Is there anyone we need to boot from... Do you want to start with the line or the green room?
I want to start with the green room. Okay,
well, is there anyone from the green room that needs to get booted, Mr. Metcalf?
I think so.
The floor is yours. Oh, gosh.
I know it's a little homerific on this episode, but I'm showing people that I remove bias from my scouting. I remove bias from the green room. I think Yaxel's got to go.
So I haven't... It's so funny bringing this up. I haven't looked at the numbers. But I feel like the last games I've looked them up and been like, hey, Yax, what's going on here? What are they?
They're starting to tail off. So like last game against Washington, 14-7, Wisconsin, 14-6, Penn State, 10-7 with 4 assists. But you look at the shooting, 2 of 7 from 3, 1 of 2 from 3, 0 of 4 from 3, 1 of 7 from 3, 1 of 2 from 3, 0 of 1 from 3. And we're starting to see that 3-point percentage now dip back down below 35%. Not super ideal. He's not playing bad, but he's also kind of nursing a little bit of a calf injury.
Yeah.
But he's playing, so it's not an automatic eliminator. He just kind of is fading away in these games where Michigan as a team has been a little cold shooting going back their last 3 games. They haven't been shooting well from outside against Washington, against Wisconsin, against Penn State. And these are all games that they should win, and they lost one at home. But these are great opportunities for Yax to be like, no, all right, I'll go into UAB mode and just take over. And it's my time to shine. I'm the big dog on campus. My turn to eat. And he's not. And I love in totality how he's been able to scale back his role. That's been great. But I need you to kick it into gear when the team needs it. And there's been way too much coasting. He's good. He's still a very good player. He's still going to be probably a first-round pick. It's nothing to do with any of that. but I think especially the vibes and the lack of aggressiveness and assertiveness and being the dude in these last 3 games, it's just been gone.
He's been here a long time, so we got to send him home. It's okay.
He's also old. It's past his bedtime.
He is also
wanna be out
old.
this late.
He's old. He's like, hey guys, I gotta do stuff in the morning.
He's been there a while.
Yeah, I've been here for a while. So
He's an adult. He's got responsibilities.
Yoxel Lindenberg you're out. See ya.
Wow.
No longer in the green room. Okay. We're only doing 1 elimination a week, right? Or is there anyone else?
More. We can do more if you want. That was the only one I had.
These are rare ones where we cut some fat. We cut a lot of fat. No, I think it looks pretty good. Everyone's been solid in there. Anyone from the line need to get kicked out?
I
think personally, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I think we're good. Anyone you want to put in line?
Why did you giggle? I'm nervous now.
No, we'll give it a week or 2.
Anyone I want to put in line? Gosh,
I'm going to nominate Amari Allen for line.
Yeah, good vibes. Good vibes. Okay, Amari Allen's in line. I really don't have anyone.
We don't have to.
You know what? Gosh, this one feels like I'm just kind of like stretching it a little, but I'll go. I'm gonna go Jalen Swain.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Well, here's what I was thinking. I was gonna go Malik Thomas. Feel like you would probably make this a 15 more minute episode. I'm like a couple games away from being like, hey, we need to have another Malik Thomas conversation. But after, Amari Allen, that was a good one. I can't nominate Kareem Lopez because I haven't caught up on his film yet, but the vibes are getting a little bit better. He's having a vibes,
And I don't think we're quite back there with Darren. Michael's
not.
Michael's hurt.
Oh, you know what? Can I change my nomination, please?
Sure.
I'll give it. I like giving sleepers some stuff. I'm going to give John Blackwell a nomination for the line.
Okay.
He just hit a game winner against Minnesota. Minnesota. That's why you're giving me the real eyes.
Yeah, right. Really, his last 2 games, he beats Michigan and then hits a buzzer beater against Minnesota, and he throws in my face.
The green room finds the vibes, and the vibes are high with John Blackwell. I'm sorry
he's getting upcharged. He's paying
okay.
cover.
Well, John Blackwell's in line. Okay, so Blackwell's in line, and you said who?
Amari Allen.
Yeah, Amari Allen. That's a good one. Vibes are high. Okay.
Who's getting in?
Who's getting in? I don't know if Ibuka Okori can stay out.
Do we give him one more? What he has Duke next?
If he gets past Duke, he gets in. Okay, he's the master. He's the maestro of vibes right now.
Or do we want to put him in now after that UNC game, and then Duke's like, well, at least you got in.
Yeah, I think we do that. Because is there a nomination for anybody else? I can't wait to keep saying the Boozer one. Do we? For everyone that's joining us, we just keep making a joke of how long can we keep Boozer
I'm
out?
sorry. 21-13 on 56% shooting against Cal doesn't move me. It's not enough. I needed that to be a 50 piece.
If you know the joke,
3
you know the
assists
joke.
to 3 turnovers. What are we doing?
We both like Boozer. Security. He's had one of the best stats year ever.
Man, have you seen his turnovers recently? 3, 4, 4, 3, 4, 4, 6. Let's squeeze the rock a little bit here, Cam. Can't have him spilling drinks and dropping buckets of beer all over the place.
Make a call. Who would you nominate for getting in?
I think it's got to be Ibuka.
It's got to be, right?
It's got to be. Like
Wagler's pretty close, but I also think it would have been funny if we put Wagler in and said whoever wins between Duke and Stanford gets in.
No, because then it would have been like Caleb Foster going off for like 30.
Yeah, no. I was just saying
Caleb Foster.
Okay, Ibuka Okori, welcome to the green room.
Wow,
I love that.
Who would have thought?
Look at this list. Okay, so final In Koa Pete, Caleb Wilson, LeBaron Philon, Cameron Carr, AJ DeBanza, Darius Acuff, Christian Anderson, Kingston Flemings, Buko Court. We are guard heavy.
The draft is guard heavy. We can't control who's interested, who's available.
In line, Cameron Boozer, Thomas Houck, Keaton Wagler, Tyler Tanner, Joshua Jefferson, Morez Johnson Jr., Amari Allen, and Blackwell. What a list.
Well, what a collection of names.
I would like to announce that we officially have one big in the combined green room vicinity. None are in and one is in line. Morez Johnson is holding down the fort for all the bigs. I guess if Joshua
Jefferson, he just might take over as a sponsor soon.
But Metcalf, this was fun. Feel like we needed this. This is great. I love doing these position breakdowns. It feels like it helps me out too. So thank you guys all for listening. I know this is a lengthy one. We'll have timestamps. Go check out NoCeilingsNBA.com, No Ceilings NBA on all social medias. For myself, Tyler Rucker, and for T Metcalf 11, Tyler Metcalf. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time.